right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you're located. This is our picking webinar, 6 advanced picking methods to pick orders 35% faster. We're about halfway through our life cycle of an order series of webinars. So hope you've been able to catch some of those previously or plan to join some of the upcoming ones. I'll certainly share the link for the rest of those. Before we get started and introduce our guests, I do want to just go over a few quick housekeeping items. Autumn, if you don't mind putting up those slides. So just so everyone knows, there will be a recording sent after the webinar. Normally, we'll send an email within about 24 hours for those to end up in your inbox. If you do have any questions, feel free to use that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We do have our product team on the call with us today, so we're here to answer any of the questions that may come up during the demo. And please
also, Kelly, I'll jump in real quick. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I wasn't at first, but I think we're all good.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thanks. So like I said, if you do have any questions, please feel free to use that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And lastly, tell us what you think. There'll be a short survey that pops up on your screen when the webinar ends today. So please take a minute and send us any feedback and let us know what you think about the webinar today. I do have one other announcement. Many of you know we've been running a contest for a free trip to Sweet World. We are going to be announcing the winner today, but you have to sit tight and hold on till the end of the webinar. We'll get to the announcement and share the lucky winner. Before we get started, I do just want to set the stage for our life cycle of an order webinar series and just kind of let you know what to expect throughout these webinars. Like I said, hopefully you've been able to make some of the earlier ones, but the goal with these is really to show you how ShipHawk offers a truly end-to-end fulfillment management solution that doesn't just help automate your operation, because there are plenty of solutions that do that, but how these solutions were developed to fit your unique business needs and help your company scale. We've got Ron Riggins on the call today, who's our CTO. Autumn, our solutions expert, who has been demoing these solutions for us. So throughout the series, we're actually talking about, there's 2 life cycles happening at the same time that we're covering. First is the actual fulfillment operation in this outer ring, and the second is the end customer experience. So you can see kind of how the fulfillment operation starts with receiving items into the warehouse, putting them away, capturing weights and dimensions, which is where we started our series. Then we covered cycle counting as inventory sitting in the warehouse. And today we're going to cover when it comes time to go pick, making sure you're doing that in an efficient manner. While most WMS solutions provide automated picking, it's often pretty limited. So ShipHawk WMS leverages our advanced batching and picking functionality by insightfully grouping orders into different workflows to minimize travel, minimize handling, and really maximize your fulfillment accuracy. And when 60% of a warehouse employee's time is spent traveling, picking orders, the throughput really, pays the price. So in the rest of the series, we'll talk about packing and verifying what actually got picked, and then shipping. A little later on in the series, we'll show you the audit reconciliation functionality as well as analytics to make sure we're continually working to help you make your distribution centers faster. So that's the fulfillment operation lifecycle. The other piece I mentioned in this inner ring is the customer experience. Our last webinar, Autumn went through how we support in-cart rating, multi-carrier rating, and EDI orders. So whether you have customers buying online through an e-commerce store, whether they're buying an EDI order, whether you're shipping to a retailer, all of these different channels are supported in an end-to-end platform. So I'll drop the link in here quickly so you can see the rest of our series and the other webinars that we have previously that you can watch on demand or have coming up. And then we'll get started. So before I hand it over to Autumn, I do just want to take a quick poll of the audience and find out kind of where everybody is today. So how many orders do you currently pick at one time? Are you still doing one order at a time? Or I know we've got some customers on the call today, so hopefully they're already leveraging some of this functionality and they're picking many. So if you want to just take a few more seconds to fill out our survey here. And while you're doing that, I'm going to drop the link to our webinar resources page. So you can take a look there if you want to go back and watch any of the previous webinars in our series. And definitely check back there as more dates become available. We'll get the links posted there. Okay, so it looks like everyone has had a chance to fill in the survey. Let's share the results here. Okay, so while most of you are picking many orders at a time, we still have some of you that are doing one. So this should be, a great way for hopefully everybody can take something back from this demo today, figure out how these features can best work for your operation. And like I said, if you do have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat box. We'll try to get to those as they come in, and we'll certainly try to save any time we have at the end to answer questions as well. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Autumn. If you want to kind of jump into the agenda of what you're going to cover today, we can get going.
Awesome. So yeah, it looks like some of you guys are picking multiple orders at a time, which is awesome. And we'll talk about all the different ways that you can do that, because there's a lot of different ways to pick multiple orders at a time. So today we're going to go over picking. We're going to go over the different types of picking that we support. Obviously, when you have operators picking, you can just go around and pick one order at a time, but that's often not the most efficient way to pick. And there's a lot of different ways to have an operator go and pick 10, 20, 30 orders at once using batch picking, cluster picking, super batches, etc. So our agenda for today is to cover what we bring into the WMS to profile and pick. So in NetSuite, that's going to be item fulfillments. In Acumatica and Dynamics, they call it shipments. In SAP, it's delivery notes. So whatever that record is in your ERP, we're going to talk about what record we bring into the WMS and what that process looks like. We're also going to talk about order consolidation when multiple orders are going to the same place. We're going to talk through how we profile orders and our different picking methods. And we're going to do an actual demo of cluster picking so you guys can see a real example in the WMS. And we'll also cover a couple additional picking scenarios. So let's start with what we bring into the WMS to pick. So there's two sides to picking. There's our release wave batch, and there's our operator side, which is actually the directed picking from the handheld. So we're going to walk through our directed picking over here on our handheld emulator a little bit later in this call, but our other side of that is actually our release wave batch screen. So I'm going to go into picking, and this is something that, a warehouse manager would do most likely, and they're going to say, hey, I want to go into my picking screen and I want to go to my release wave batch. I could filter this for, looking for a specific channel or order type or whatever it may be, but I'm just going to search it open and pull up everything. So everything that you see here are, again, those item fulfillments, those shipments, whatever that record is in your ERP, that we're actually pulling in to then go ahead and send operators out to pick. And this is different than some other WMSs out there. Some other WMSs sync sales orders. So they're bringing the whole thing in and telling an operator, hey, go pick what you can. We like to sync that item fulfillment or that shipment record because we're sending your pickers out and saying, here's what you can pick, rather than saying, you figure it out, go pick what you can. And there's a lot of reasons we do that. A couple reasons are because of allocation and commitments. So if there's not an item fulfillment for a shipment, there's potential that those items can be allocated to a different order, and you can run into inventory issues. You can run into someone going to pick something and the item is not there because someone else kind of stole that item for a different order. So there's a lot of things that can happen. And the last thing we want to do is send an operator to go pick an item and they find out it's not there. Somebody picked it for another order. Now they've wasted their time traveling over there. As Kelly said, travel time is a huge part of time spent picking and time spent in the warehouse. So we don't want to do that. So we're going to actually bring in that item fulfillment or shipment record. We're going to separate out your orders that can be fully allocated and can be picked from your unallocatable orders, meaning, hey, that we don't have the inventory right now to go pick this, or that inventory is allocated to a different order. So we don't want to go and steal that inventory, or maybe that inventory is in a non-pickable location. It's in a reserve area. You need to replenish it before you can actually pick that. We'll kind of walk through that process, but I like to kind of give that overview of what we're actually bringing into the warehouse. So once we bring in, those item fulfillments, those shipments, we're going to perform bin level allocation processing. And so this slide kind of goes over what that looks like in NetSuite. but just replace it with your term for your ERP, right? Fulfillment, shipment, whatever that may be. We're going to bring those in from your ERP. We're going to perform the bin level allocation processing. And then we're going to profile and actually group these orders into batches, clusters, super batches, all the picking methods that we're going to talk about. And the way that we're doing that is we're looking at, where's the inventory located? What size is the order? The nature of the value added services that maybe this order needs. Does it need some special processing? Then we need to take it to a special processing area. Are there specific customer requirements or a specific pack station you need to take it to? Is it a hazmat or an Amazon order that you want to process at a certain pack station? So we're going to look at all these different pieces of your orders. We're going to profile them, and we're going to go ahead and put those into your batches, your clusters, and your different wave picks. So again, just to reiterate, I'm going to say this multiple times, we are doing the profiling. We are creating those different pick methods. So you do not have to have a warehouse manager looking at all of your open orders and saying, hey, what should I go send my user to pick together? And actually have someone going through there and saying, well, it looks like these two orders have the same item, so maybe they should pick those two together. And this order has items in that area, so maybe they should go do that. So none of that. We're going to do all of that for you based on logic that we set up during implementation with you guys, based on the types of orders and types of picks you guys want to do, what your warehouse is set up for, and all that good stuff. So before we talk too much about these types of picking methods, let's jump quickly into order consolidation. So the first thing that we think about when we bring in those item fulfillments and those shipments is opportunities for consolidation. So our WMS is going to look for orders that are going to the same customer or to the same distribution center, and we can go ahead and automatically combine those and have a picker pick them at the same time, pack them together, and ship them out together, saving money on shipping and saving time in picking and packing. And the cool thing about this is your operator doesn't have to know that that's multiple orders. They don't have to, there's not considerations for them of, okay, let me look at my orders going to the same location. Let me go combine these. Let me take an extra step to combine these. We're going to do that automatically. And for them, it's just directed picking. So they're just going around and they're picking it. They don't really need to know the information about the order. They don't have to be storing all this information in their head. We're just kind of doing it automatically and saying, hey, go pick your items, and then sending those to get packed and shipped together. And there's some logic around order consolidation when you guys want to do it. What happens if you've got an LTL order and a small parcel order? Do you want to consolidate those? All that kind of stuff that we can talk through in specific demos with you guys. So now let's jump into our other pick methods. So again, we're bringing in those item fulfillments. We're consolidating those into the different pick methods, and we have a lot of different options for those. I've mentioned some of them. I've mentioned batches and clusters and super batches. So what do those actually mean? Well, we'll get into that. So here at the bottom, you're going to see single order pick, right? Of course, we can have someone go around and pick a single order, and that can make a lot of sense if you've got, a really large order or pallets or multiple pallet size order where you just want to have someone go around and actually just pick that single order, right? So they're going to pick that order onto a pallet or onto a cart, depending on the type of order, or directly into a container if it's a different type of order, right? A lot of things they can do there. And then they're going to go ahead and actually just ship that out. So at the most basic level, we can obviously do a single order pick where someone goes around and picks one order. Next, let's talk about wave picking. So wave picking is when you've got a bunch of different single line, single unit orders. And the best thing you can do in that case is go bring around a cart or a pallet or whatever your conveyance mechanism is and kind of max out that cart and try and collect up as much as you can of those single units, bring them forward to a packing station, and either scan the unit or scan the cart and just pack and ship in batch at that point. So this is kind of what that looks like. So we would put all those orders into a wave, send the picker to pick each of those in the optimal pick path, because we're also optimizing their travel path. And then at the packing station, they can take that first unit, scan it, you'll get a pack list at a ship label, and you can go through the items like that, which is a super effective way to ship a bunch of, single item, single quantity orders that are all unique items. Alternatively, when they get to that pack station, they could scan the cart ID and we could print all the documents and they can match them up with the items. So you're kind of seeing that in this graphic here. So now let's talk about a batch pick. So a batch pick is very similar to a wave pick, but it's actually going to be identical items in the order. So a true batch would be, hey, I've got 40 identical orders. Everyone just ordered one of SKU A. I'm going to go grab a pallet of that, 40 of that item, or go fill up a cart with 40 of that item, bring it forward, and then pack those 40 orders. And so that looks like this, right? And so you could literally be going and grabbing a pallet, or you could be going and, with a cart and saying, all right, I'm just picking 40 of this quantity and I'm going to bring it up to my pack station. They're going to pack them all identically, put those packing slips in there, and it doesn't even matter which packing slip they put in which box, right? They're just going to make sure they match up their packing slips and their labels. So really effective way to process a bunch of identical orders. But that's not always common, right? Maybe it's more common that, you have, 3 of SKU A and 4 of SKU B and a couple other things like that. So we're going to talk about, well, what happens when you have, batches, but in a much smaller quantity in a minute. But before we jump into that, let's actually jump into clusters as well. So we're going to talk about cluster picking, and then we're going to go right into super batches. So cluster picking is where I've got multiple line, multiple quantity orders, but I want to go out and pick multiple at one time. And so each of those orders can fit into a certain size tote, and a certain amount of totes can fit onto a cart. So we're going to look through your orders, and we're going to say, hey, you've got all these different orders that fit into your medium-sized blue tote, and they've got items that are near each other, or whatever it is, depending on the orders in your queue. We're going to look for the ones that have the minimum pick path, and we're going to go ahead and set it up as a tote like this, or as a cart like this. So each of these totes is related to a specific order. When we direct your users through the warehouse, we're going to say, pick this item, put 2 in this tote on shelf 1, put 3 in this tote on shelf 2, and we're going to walk through the cluster pick process as well. So, we're not just combining 8 random orders. We're going ahead and actually saying, of the open orders you have, of the ones that will fit into a medium-sized tote, which ones can we put together for that optimal pick path? And it doesn't have to be that they all fit in a medium-sized tote. You guys can have, hey, I've got orders that fit into a large tote, and I can fit 2 of those on a cart. Or I've got orders that fit into a small tote, and I can fit 12 of those on a cart. So there's a lot of customization here as far as what types of orders you generally get, what types of totes and carts you have in your warehouse, and how you want to consolidate those. And it doesn't even have to be totes. It can be, I'm going and picking 2 pallet-sized orders on a double pallet jack. And we're going to look at it, and we're going to, obviously we don't want to combine a pallet-sized order with a small tote-sized order, right? That doesn't make sense for you to go around and pick. So we're going to kind of be able to make sure we're combining like-sized orders together when you're going and picking those. And again, it's not 8 random orders. It's of my 100 orders in the pool, what 8 can I pick that are going to be the shortest pick path? And then we're going to say, okay, now we've got this many other medium-sized picks. How do I consolidate those into the 8 that are going to be the shortest pick path for me? So we're going to do all of that automatically. Your operator goes out. We're going to walk them through setting up their cart, walk them through their pick path, and exactly where all those items should go. So we mentioned this briefly, but let's jump into a super batch, right? So with batches, it's that traditional idea of I've got, 40 of SKU A, and I'm just going to go pick those and come back. But right, what if you have 3? Do you really want to go out onto the floor and pick 3 of SKU A, come to your packing station, drop it off, and then go out and pick another small quantity of another item? Probably not. There's probably a more effective way to do that. And so we have the idea of a super batch. And so what a super batch looks like is like this. And what it would be is, hey, maybe I've only got 3 orders of SKU A, but I've also got 2 identical orders of just SKU B, and I've got 5 identical orders of just SKU C and 10 of SKU D, right? All these different smaller batches. We can actually create what we call a super batch, where it's totes on a cart, but each tote is its own batch. So this would be where you're picking all of your SKU A's, all of your SKU B's, all of your SKU C's, all of your SKU D's, right? And you can very effectively go around your warehouse and end up picking 30, 40, 50, a bunch of orders at one time. You bring that to your pack station, drop it off, and your operator can just process each of those totes as they process a batch normally. Let's go back here. So those are kind of our main different ways to pick. And let's kind of go back here so you guys can see that overview one more time. But in addition to those, we can also support some more advanced picking integrations, including automated storage and retrieval systems, or carousels, put walls, and more. So we won't dive into those, automated systems that you can also integrate with ShipHawk. But if you have questions, Kelly's going to share our Learn More at ShipHawk email later. You can always email that to us, and we can hop on a demo with you guys and go into more details on any of those things. All right, so we've talked about our different methods here, and you guys don't have to use all of these. When you go through implementations, we're going to figure out what makes the most sense for your warehouse. Maybe you just want to use clusters and wave picking, right? Or maybe you just want to use clusters and batches and single orders. So we're going to kind of figure that out. What's going to make the most sense for your guys' warehouse layout, the order, types of orders you get, your order profiles, all those different things. But let's actually talk about how do we get these onto the floor. So before we were looking at our Wave release screen here, and this is all of my unreleased tasks with, us batching them, putting them in clusters with the goal to reduce foot travel. So let's talk about a few other of our profiling details here before we jump into our actual cluster pick. So as I mentioned, when we're profiling these and combining them together, we're making sure these have, they're the same category if you need to process certain orders together, the same priority, right? We don't want to combine a priority 1 order with a priority 3 order, because then you got to go pick that priority 3 to process the priority 1, right? We're going to combine, here's all your priority 1s, go release that, and you can rush those orders, actually truly prioritize them. And we also have something called a pack destination. So you're kind of going to see that here. And that can be, a physical packing station where, hey, I need to process all my Amazon orders at this station because I've got the Amazon tape and I've got, certain things, or my hazmat orders. Maybe I've got hazmat stickers and my hazmat labels that are all at one station. So it can be a physical station that we want to say, well, I always want to go pick all my hazmat orders together, drop them off at the same pack station. And we'll make sure that we're only going to combine hazmat orders with hazmat orders. And that can stand for any other scenario you have. And it doesn't even have to be a physical pack station. It could just be, well, I've got these orders that need special processing. So I want to have someone go pick all my orders with special processing together and then drop them off at a special processing area to perform that next step before they go get packed and shipped. So whatever your needs are, we can kind of, categorize your orders with this pack destination as well. And then we can look for orders with the same carrier service, all kinds of different things here, same channel, make sure we're combining those together as well. So while they're here, they're not available to the floor. And as new orders come into the system, we're going to optimize, we're going to add those in here. But at some point, your warehouse manager is going to want to release some to the floor. So they can go ahead and just say, hey, I'm ready to release them all, select all and release those. Or they can pick and choose, all right, I want to release these 10, keep the rest in here to, as we get new orders, they're going to continue to get optimized. And then when we need more, release more. And I'm going to go ahead and release one today. So let's go and find a cluster here. And you'll see we've got clusters, we've got batches, we've got consolidated orders. That's that CIF right there. We've got single order picks. We've got super batches down at the bottom. But I'm going to release a cluster for us. And so let's pick one that's not going to be too boring for you guys to watch. We're going to do that one. And I'm just going to release selected. You can assign to a specific operator, and that can be helpful in certain scenarios, right? If you need to, you have someone in training and you want to pick specific orders for them, or some people have a specific operator designated for a large client that they always want to have that operator pick for them because they know, the way that things need to be packed, or they know specifics about that client. Or maybe you want to rush it. If you assign to a specific operator, that's going to go ahead and put that at the next in line for that operator to see. But generally, we just want you releasing to the floor. We're going to do the rest. We're going to figure out who should do it when they go to pick. So I'm going to release selected there. And if we needed, we could print some paperwork there, but you may not need that. And then I'll go back to that screen just so you guys can see it while I'm doing other stuff here. We're just going to open that. And then as the actual operator, I've come in for the day. I'm ready to go ahead and pick. So I'm just going to go into my picking screen. And I'm just going to say begin picking. And again, if they needed to find a specific order, they can do that. But really, we just want them to say begin picking. And we're going to feed them the next order in line based on their zone, order priority, a number of different profiling pieces of information. And we're just going to kind of feed that to them and say, hey, here's the order that you're about to do. We'll give them some info there, including estimated time. Estimated time is not an engineered labor statistic. It's really just used based on, our travel length and travel distance, but it's helpful for them to see because, if they've got 10 minutes left in their day and they see one that comes through and says estimated time 30 minutes, they may want to skip that and find an order they can actually complete before they end their shift. So most likely they're going to go ahead and just kind of say, yep, go ahead and continue. And now we're going to actually have them set up that cart. So let's jump over here again, because we're doing a cluster pick. So you kind of get that visual. So it's going to say, hey, go ahead and scan your cart ID. And I'm just going to enter something random. I don't have a scanner on me, but they would be scanning all this. And we're going to say continue to set up cart. And now it's going to direct me through scanning my different totes. So I'll scan my tote ID, continue to set up. It's going to go ahead and say that's on shelf 1. The way we've got our setup is that we've got 3 totes and they fit 1 on a shelf. So it's kind of automatically doing that. And I'll say, all right, I'm going to scan my next tote on the next shelf. Continue to set up. It's going to say, all right, that's on shelf 2. And they can change it if they need to, right? But we'll kind of set up your guys' carts as you have them. And actually, it looks like I only have 2 totes in this one. So I'm good to go. I'm going to go ahead and say begin pick tour. And now it's just going to walk me through picking here. And it's going to actually walk me to our return bin here. And it's going to say, hey, go over there, scan your bin when you get there. Say continue. It's going to tell me what item to find and have me scan that item to confirm that I found it. And it's going to tell me to pick one and put it in this tote on shelf 2. And this shelf number can be really helpful once you get to something like this, where you've got 4 different shelves and 8 different totes. That shelf number is going to save them a couple seconds of, okay, let me look and see where that tote number is. So really effective to actually show the shelf number to them as well. And I'll scan my container, say, yep, I'm putting that item in there, and I'll continue. We're running into interleaved cycle counting. So for those of you who are on the cycle counting webinar, you already know all about that. But what this is that we can set a threshold for when your item reaches a certain threshold, say, you know, hey, I've picked this and now my item is under 5 left. We can actually prompt the user to go ahead and do a count while they're there, because it's really easy for them to look into that bin and say, oh yeah, I do have 5 left, or no, there's 4 there. And they can enter that. It's just a blind count. And they'll just save that count and they'll continue through their process. It's optional. You don't have to use it, but it is a really effective way to quickly get a cycle count while an operator is already there. You're not having someone do additional travel to get there and count it, or having an inventory specialist go around and do counts. So it can kind of lessen your need for an inventory specialist going around as frequently. It can be a really effective way to capture that data. So now it looks like I'm staying at the same bin. So it's going to say, hey, find this next item, and I'll scan that item there. And it says pick 2 and put it into your tote on shelf 2. And I will pick those 2, I'll put it into my tote, and I'll scan my tote to confirm. And again, we're running into that interleaved cycle counting, and we've got this set really high in our demo environment just so we can show that. Looks like we're staying at the same location here, and I'll say, yep, I've found my item. And there's a couple other options here. Say I didn't find my item, or I can't access this tote, right? Or this location. So, you know, I get to a new location, I can't access it. I can go ahead and say skip pick. And that's going to go ahead and put that at the back of my line so I can go do my other picks and come back and, you know, hopefully the fork truck has moved or whatever was in the way has moved. So I can now do that pick. I can also say item not found if I don't see it there. And that's going to ask me, okay, well, how many did you find? So if I have to pick 2 and I can say I only picked 1, we're going to pick that one and then we're going to enter a count of 0. So that way it enters a count in your system. We know we had to short pick, we didn't have the inventory there. And then at the end of the picking process, we're going to resolve them to, or tell them to take this to a resolve area or a hospital area to kind of resolve this pick. Or they can go ahead and say find alternate bin. So maybe you say, hey, the item's not there, but I don't want them to short pick. I want them to see if this item is anywhere else in the warehouse. We can also show them, are there any alternate bins that have this item in it, and direct them to go pick it there. But let's say I found my item, and I'll go ahead and continue here. And it's going to tell me pick 2 into this tote on shelf 2, and I'll continue there. Once again, we're going to do that quick cycle count. Now we're going to find the next item, and looks like all these items are in the same bin, but you know, the one step that would be happening here if they were in different locations is, hey, go to this bin, scan the bin, and then exactly what we're doing. Scan the item, scan the tote to confirm you've put it in there. So we're telling them how many to pick, put it in that tote there. And I'll just continue through this, and then we'll kind of talk about what happens at the end. This is a great time if you have any questions to go ahead and throw those in the questions chat. All right, so I've finished my pick, and now it's going to direct me to the pack station for this order and say, all right, you're done. Go ahead and take that to your pack station. So I'm going to move my cart over to my pack station and confirm when I arrive there. And now I'm done. So it really is as easy as that. We're directing them through the whole process. They, again, do not have to know anything about these orders or about the makeup of these orders, because we're just guiding them through that process. We're having them build those different orders into those different totes without them knowing who's it going to, you know, do I need any more information on it? No, just pick it in here. We're going to then process it at packing and shipping. I think I saw a raised hand. Did that go away? Kelly, are you seeing that?
I did see that, and I was trying to go back and see if somebody still had their hand raised. If not, if you do have a question, use that Q&A box and you can type in your question and we can get it answered for you.
Awesome. So I just did a full pick there. If I did do a short pick, you know, obviously we've got options to resolve that short pick. So likely you want to take that short pick to a resolve area And then the options for processing that would be, you can find the item and complete the pick and move forward. So maybe you didn't use that find alternate bin, but you want your, inventory specialist to go resolve that, and they're going to go find the item and complete that. You can also short ship it, and we'll write back to the ERP as such. You can cancel that item fulfillment or shipment and return those items to inventory, and we can do that guided process. Or you could put that on hold and wait for more stock to come in to complete that order. So you've got a lot of different options for resolving those short picks as well. And we won't look at those, but that's kind of the briefing on what you can do there. So what about order history? What does this look like now that I've completed that? So I'm going to jump over into ShipHawk again, and we're going to go to our administration tab here. We're going to look at our order status summary. And I'm just going to pick any order here. So I can go and always see, hey, what orders have been released but not yet picked, what's been picked but not yet packed, packed not shipped, and what's shipped today. So you're always going to have this full view of what's going on with your orders in the warehouse. And you can actually click into those, and I can say, all right, for this order, I want to see the details here. And it's going to show you when things happened and what happened. And you can even click into the pick details and see, all right, what exactly happened during picking. And here you're going to see we've got ordered 1, picked 0. So we've got a short pick here, and you can see what item was short picked, what bin was it short picked at, all the different information that you might need. So you can always drill into that and see your full order history. All right, let's go into our additional picking scenarios now. So I want to quickly highlight that we can also direct a user to pick full pallets. So that would be when you're picking from bulk storage or a floor stack location, we can just scan that license plate and assign that as a tote and go ahead and just pick that. So you can very easily direct operators to go just pick a full pallet of something and, bring it up to pack. Great scenario if you're doing that kind of batch and a batch happens to be a full pallet of your item, right? Unallocated orders and unallocated items. We're always going to show you that. So if I go back to my picking and then my release wave batch, and I just search that open, we're going to categorize those in their own tabs over here. So the nice thing about that is you can actually see your unallocated orders, which means, hey, I can't release this to the floor right now because either I don't have enough inventory, it's in a non-pickable location, it's assigned or allocated to a different order, and you can actually see what's going on there. So if you did need to override this and say, hey, I've got 5 ordered, but I can only allocate 2. Where are the other inventory items that I have for this and what's happening here? So we've got some that are soft allocated and some stock at other locations that might be unpickable. So you can always kind of see, why are these not allocatable? Do I just need to do a replenishment? And we do guided replenishments in ShipHawk as well. But you'll always be able to see exactly what's going on. Why are we not, putting these in your unreleased tasks? What needs to happen for these to be ready to be released? And then back over here, we can also support zone picking. And the most common form of zone picking is pick and pass, right? So user is assigned to zone A, they're going to do their portion of the pick, stage it for the user in zone B, then they're going to continue that pick. But we also have a new feature that we have called parallel picking. So it's zone picking, but instead of doing that pick and pass, you actually can have the users in different zones pick at the same time, and then bring those to merge those into that shipment. So we can support those if you guys are leveraging zone picking in your warehouse. All right. And that is kind of my overview on picking. I'm going to check real quick if we've got any questions here. I don't think we do right now. So we covered a lot today. We covered all your different methods of picking, the different types. Again, you don't have to leverage all of them. We're going to work with you in implementations and figure out which of those picking methods works best for you guys based on the types of orders that you have. We talked about consolidating orders and how we can do that automatically, talked about our zone picking, some of our, more advanced features that we can talk about and integrate with, like automated storage and retrieval systems, and actually went through that demo of a cluster pick. So I'll pass it back to Kelly to kind of wrap us up.
Awesome. Thanks, Autumn. That was a lot of really great information. Hopefully that everybody was able to kind of learn more about the details of the different picking methods and identify ones that maybe they aren't using and could be, or maybe ways they could better use or better leverage some of the available methods that we have. I'm going to share my screen real quick because I did want to give everyone the access to download our one-sheeter on picking, optimization, and order consolidation. So hopefully you all can see my screen right here with this QR code. So feel free to scan that QR code and you can download this white paper or this asset, and it'll kind of go over everything Autumn talked about today in just like a high level. And like she mentioned, if you do have any questions, please email us at learnmore@shiphawk.com, and that will come to us, and we will make sure to get your answers, get your questions to the appropriate person that can best answer your question. I see Alex has joined us, so we're getting ready for our Sweet World winner. We're joined Alex Kemp, our VP of Marketing and Business Development. Hi, Alex. How's it going?
Good. You gave me the fun job.
Exactly, exactly. Autumn and Ron were on standby and answering questions. So the moment we've all been waiting for, I'm sure you've all seen our emails and announcements for our contest we've been running. We're super excited. Sweet World has sold out the last couple years. So these tickets are always pretty exciting to give away. So Alex, I've given Alex, we've had a list of names, and Alex is going to do our drawing.
Yep, and I've got my ShipHawk branded hat right here. Reach out if you want one. Can maybe hook you up. Okay, I've got a lot of names in here, so let me. We got quite a few contestants this year. All right, here we go. Ryan Briggs with Espresso Services. Congratulations, Ryan. We will see you at Sweet World. If you are running NetSuite, we would love to see you at Sweet World if you're going to be there. So congrats, Ryan. You got the free trip, all expenses paid. Please stop by our booth. We'll be there the whole show. This is September 9th through 12th. So hope to see you in Las Vegas if you are running NetSuite. If you're not, we'll see you at your ERP show, Acumatica, Dynamics, etc. So congrats, Ryan.
Yeah, congratulations. I have to look and see if Ryan is on. We'll make sure to send all the information over to you shortly, and give you a call with all the details. We do have some other webinar events coming up in addition to being at Sweet World. We are still, our life cycle of an order series is continuing, but you'll also see another one that we're hosting with Easy Post in a couple weeks in August. So feel free to check out that link. I put it in the chat for a link to our resources page. You can look at all of our upcoming webinars, other events that we're going to be attending. And again, I posted our white paper in there. There's some other assets on there that you may find useful as well. So that's it for us today. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Have a great rest of your afternoon.